Stephen, let's have a look at the newspapers now. Dipty's here on set. Dipty, you started with reactions, aren't you, from the US and Mexico to the guilty verdict, of course, handed out against the Mexican drug lord, El Chapo Guzman.
That's right, and the analysis is really interesting today, Stuart. Joaquin Guzman, a.k.a. El Chapo, the notorious narco-trafficker, has been found guilty on 10 accounts, including drug trafficking and running a criminal enterprise. And it's making the opinion pages of one Mexican paper, El Universal, today. A lot of pessimism from that paper. The writer here saying that a guilty verdict changed nothing in Mexico because violence and killings still continue. I quote, "Let's be clear, the country does not transition to peace by the capture and prosecution of 1 or even 1,000 Chapos." For the New York Times as well, this verdict, this conviction is just not enough. In fact, the Times is looking at recent figures given by the Mexican government, really astounding figures. 40,000 people have vanished without a trace in Mexico as a result of the war on drugs. 26,000 corpses are laying unidentified in public morgues, while Guzman's conviction, the paper says, might deter aspiring drug traffickers. For those who've lost loved ones, the search for justice and peace continues.
And for some press, the verdict, it serves a bit of a reminder, doesn't it, of just how important the US drug enforcement agencies are in this ongoing war against drugs.
Well, the DEA, as it's known, the agency, has come under a lot of scrutiny because of its practices. And this writer from Fox News explains that, in particular, they've come under fire for its reliance on paid criminal informants. This verdict, though, shows that that strategy, however controversial it may be, is effective in turning cartel members against each other. And in order to bring kingpins like El Chapo down. On that note, the Daily Beast is also looking at how this verdict reinforces how wrong Donald Trump is on his border wall idea. El Chapo brought in drugs through tunnels, trains, ships and submarines. None of which will be actually hampered by the future construction of a wall. The Beast even slamming Trump for paralyzing the government just to finance a border that would not stop 80% of illegal drugs arriving through official points of entry. I quote, "El Chapo meet El Champo."
At least you didn't say that. Let's go to Tunisia for its next story. It's rather a shocking story of a man. He reported a rape to the police. He actually ended up being arrested for homosexuality, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. This alleged rape victim, who's known as Anas, tried to report his assault to police earlier this year. He was then subjected to an enforced anal examination designed to detect evidence of sodomy. He's actually been ordered to serve 6 months in custody for homosexuality and a further 2 months for what police say was lying about a false claim of rape. This story really shedding light on Tunisia's treatment of rape victims as a whole. According to Human Rights Watch, rape victims in the country are routinely subjected to humiliating, invasive procedures just to prove what the crime that they're accusing others of after reporting crimes to police. This as domestic and international pressure grows on Tunisia to repeal its anti-sodomy laws.
Let's look ahead to something a little bit lighter, something sporting, in fact, the Olympics, specifically a possible joint bid. This is by South and North Korea for the 2032 Games.
Yeah, this is far, far in the future. Channel News Asia reported, says earlier this week, South Korea announced it was putting forward Seoul as a possible host city for a joint Olympic host bid for 2032. Delegations from South and North Korea are actually in Switzerland this week to meet with the IOC to discuss that possible bid, buoyed by the role that Pyongyang played in the Winter Olympics in South Korea last year. Although this writer for Channel News Asia warns that there are a lot of hurdles before this could even be possible. To become hosts, the two Koreas would have to overcome international sanctions, decades of mistrust, and wide political and economic differences between the two. If they do select this bid, then for this writer from the website Deadspin, it would dovetail nicely with the IOC's already well-documented affinity for, quote, working with dictatorships with gross human rights violations.
Well, finally from Dipty, we have, of course, both of us been saving up all year to buy chocolates and flowers for our other halves for Valentine's Day tomorrow, haven't we? But there is one country which is rather unexcited by Valentine's Day this Thursday.
I'd say even rebelling against the Valentine's Day. That country is Japan. So the British daily The Independent explains that Japanese women are rebelling against a tradition in Japan that obliges them to give chocolates to their male colleagues on February the 14th. 60% of women surveyed said they'd actually rather buy chocolates for themselves this year.
Very sensible.
And some firms have actually banned the practice on the grounds that it's seen as an abuse of power. Now, not to be outdone, Japanese men are also rebelling against V-Day. Japan Today reports that an anti-Valentine's Day protest march was held in Tokyo on the weekend by, you're going to love the name of this group, the, quote, Revolutionary Alliance of Unpopular Men. They're actually demonstrating against the, quote, romantic capitalism of Valentine's Day.
Right.
None of that sounds very romantic, does it?
No, I can't believe that that's what makes people go out on the streets. Amazing. I quite like the chocolate idea, though. Do you think we could have that at France 24?
I didn't even know that there was a chocolate idea at all.
I quite fancy being bought some chocolate tomorrow morning. I wouldn't mind. Thanks to Tea with the Papers on France 24.